Hello friends, welcome all. So today's topic is compliances related to the private limited company. So in this video, I'll walk you all through with the meaning of the private limited company, the mandatory compliance which you have to conduct post incorporation of the company, what are the timelines, form filing requirements, the fees for filing forms, whether the professional person certification is required or not for form filing, then other annual compliances related to board meeting, then general meeting and other event based compliances and other applicable forms which have become now applicable with the amendments in the Companies Act. So be in the video until the end. One more thing, I'll also let you know the cost for incorporation of the company, then the annual compliances charges which are being charged by the practicing person. So if you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe my channel and you can check the other technical topics related to Companies Act as well as SEBI LODR regulations on my YouTube channel. Further, I am preparing daily knowledge series shorts on daily basis which will help you to enhance your knowledge as well as brush your knowledge. So let's start. So what is the meaning of private company? So the meaning of private company, definition is given under section 268 to subsection 68 of the Companies Act. As per this, I'll define this private company definition in the simple words. So even the person who is not technically so much sound can understand it easily. So there is no requirement of minimum paid up share capital. So with the amendment, there was earlier there was requirement of minimum paid up share capital, but with due to this amendment now there is no minimum paid up share capital requirement for incorporation of the private limited company. However, the authorized share capital should be minimum 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so no minimum paid up share capital, authorized capital is 1 lakh rupees. The minimum directors should be 2 directors in the private companies, maximum can be 15 directors. And the members, that is shareholders, minimum 2 shareholders and maximum can be 200. Further, there are restrictions in transfer of the shares in the private companies. So these are few points related to private company meaning. Now coming to the compliances. So compliances related to the newly incorporated companies. So first requirement is form INC 20A. So this form is related to filing the form is required for getting the certificate of commencement of the business. So the timeline is within 180 days from the date of incorporation. The date of incorporation is the same date which is mentioned in the certificate of incorporation issued by the MCA, that is Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So the timeline is same. Once you will file this form, you will get the certificate of commencement of business. Only post getting the certificate of commencement of business, you can start your business as well as you can borrow the money from the banks or any financial institution. Without this certificate, you cannot start your business. So this is very important. Further, the penalties for this are very huge. The company can be charged with a penalty of 50,000 rupees and the officer in the default can be charged with a penalty of 1,000 rupees per day post completion of this 180 days timeline, and the maximum amount can reach to 1 lakh rupees. Further, the MCA ROC may strike off the company in case it believes that company does not have any business. So this is very important for newly incorporated company. Coming to next, form 22. So this form is particularly for verification of the registered office of the company. The timeline is within 30 days of the incorporation. Coming to next, appointment of statutory auditor. So the newly incorporated company has to conduct its first board meeting within 30 days from the date of incorporation, and in that first board meeting it has to appoint the statutory auditor of the company. The timeline is within 30 days of incorporation in the board meeting. So first statutory auditor is appointed in the board meeting and his appointment is valid until the first annual general meeting of the company. Now coming to next, in this board meeting, post appointment of auditor in board meeting, the company is not required to file form ADT1. It is required to file in the once the appointment is approved in the first annual general meeting. Okay. So ADT1, this is the form for appointment of the statutory auditor, that is the chartered accountant who can be appointed as the statutory auditor. The timeline is 15 days from the AGM date, that is first AGM in which his appointment is approved. Okay, now coming to next, first AGM. So when the company is required to conduct its first annual general meeting, this is annual general meeting of the shareholders. So within the period of 9 months from the end of the first financial year. For example, the date of incorporation of the company is say 15th of September 2024. Okay. So when it is required to conduct first AGM, so its financial year will end in, it's incorporated in 24, so 2024 to 2025. So 31st March 2025 will be the end of the financial year for the newly incorporated company. In such case, it has to conduct within 9 months from the end of financial year, that is 9 months from 31st March 2025. So it comes to 31st December 2025. So by 31st December 2025, the company has to conduct its first annual general meeting and it has to approve its statutory auditor appointment, and it has to file form ADT1 within 15 days from the date of AGM. So in that case, if 31st December, say 31st December 2025 is AGM date, then the form should be filed by 14th of January, because 31st December is also calculated in the calculation of this 15 days timeline. One more thing, if you wanted to see the detailed video on appointment of statutory auditor or reappointment of statutory auditor, you can simply check the link in the description box. I have prepared a detailed video on this. Now next, about annual general meeting also I have prepared a detailed video. I have mentioned the link in the description box. So this were the compliances basically related to newly incorporated company. Now talking about the compliances which will be applicable to newly incorporated company as well as existing private limited companies. So first, board meeting. So every private company, so it's applied to every company, but here I am talking about particularly private limited company, so I'll highlight that only. So every private limited company has to conduct 4 board meeting in each calendar year. Here the word is calendar year, that means January to December, with maximum gap between 2 board meeting can be 120 days. Okay, now here I am not talking about the small companies, because there are few exemptions and relaxation given to the small companies, which for which I'll make a separate video for particularly small companies. So you can check that video on my YouTube channel. But here I am talking about the normal private limited company only. Now talking about the annual general meeting. So AGM has to be conducted within a period of 6 months from the end of the financial year. So financial year ends on 31st March every year. So you have to conduct the annual general meeting by 30th September every year. Okay. Now next, annual compliances. So 2 forms are mandatory required to file. First AOC4 and second MGT7. So AOC4 form is form for submission of the financial statements of the company, that is audited financial statements of the company along with the auditor's report. Timeline is 30 days from the date of AGM. And MGT7, the timeline is 60 days from annual general meeting date. MGT7 is the annual return. Now with AOC4, the financial statement as well as board report goes with this AOC4 form. For example, the company's AGM date is 30th September, then the AOC4 has to be filed within 30 days from the 30th September. That means 30th October will be the last date for form filing of AOC4 without late filing fees. Okay. Now here one thing, for board meeting 7 days notice should be given, except shorter notice can also be given. And for annual general meeting 21 days notice has to be given to the shareholders. Here also shorter notice can also be given. Okay. Now other few documents which are mandatorily maintained by the private limited companies are statutory registers, then minutes of board meeting as well as general meeting, then notes to agenda for this board meetings, then annual general meeting notice and attendance registers, then other director disclosures which have to be placed in the first board meeting in the every year from the directors, that is DRI 8, MBP 1, etc. and other related party transactions document which are applicable to the company. Okay. Here I am not describing this in detail because it will increase the video of length. The only purpose is to spread the awareness about these compliances which are applicable to private limited company, and to ensure that the company does not miss any important compliances. Now next, DRI 3 KYC. This is very important. Every director, whether he is having every director or say a person who is having DIN, that is director identification number, has to comply with this, has to file this form DRI 3 KYC. This is web based form available on V3 portal. There is no form filing fees for this DRI 3 KYC. If there is no change in the KYC related details of the director, he can simply file this form by entering the OTP which is received on mobile and email. Any person can do this very easily. There is no any lengthy process in it. This is very quick form, and the due date is 30th September every year. Even though a person is not a director in any company but having DIN, he has to comply with this, because if you miss this, then the penalty is 5,000 rupees and the DIN number will be deactivated. So this is very crucial for every person who is having DIN. Now coming to next, Pass 6 form. So with the MCA notification dated October 27, 2023, now the private companies other than small companies are required to convert its shares into the demat form and has to comply with filing form Pass 6. This form is formed particularly which is reconciliation of share capital of the company. So it is a half yearly form. The timeline is 60 days from the end of half year. So for the half year ending on the 31st March, the deadline is 30th May, and half year ending on 30th September, the deadline is 29th of November. There is a requirement of certification from the practicing professional. Okay. The form filing fees for this forms depends upon the share capital of the company. It varies from 200 rupees to 600 rupees. Okay. Next, form DPT3. This is the form for the deposit of the company, particulars of the deposit. This form filing timeline is annually and due date is 30th June every year. Now even though company has not given any deposit, that is deposits have not been taken from any person, but the company has borrowed money from the bank, financial institutions, or borrowed money from the directors, in such case also DPT3 is mandatory to be filed on annual basis. Here also practicing professional certification is requirement. Form filing fees are same, 200 to 600, varies and depends upon the share capital of the company. Coming to next, MSME 1 form. This form is required in case the company are having the vendors outstanding payment, and the vendors are MSME vendors and having outstanding payment is more than 45 days. In such case, MSME 1 form is required. The form filing requirement is half year basis, due date at 31st October and 30th April every year. There is no form filing fees and no certification from professional is required for MSME 1 form. Coming to next, so these are few forms. Now these are event basis form, DIR 12. This form is for the particulars of the directors and the KMP, that is key managerial personnel. In case of appointment, resignation of any director or KMP, this form filing is requirement. The due timeline is 30 days from the date of appointment or say resignation or removal date. There is form filing fees again 200 to 600, and certification from the professional is mandatory. Coming to next, charge related forms. So in case the company borrows money from the bank's financial institute, it has to register its charge and has to file the charge related forms. In case of charge creation, the form can be filed, and in case of charge satisfaction or modification, there is requirement of filing form. For creation and modification, CHG1, and from satisfaction, CHG4. In case of amount is borrowed from the debt securities, then CHG9 form. I have prepared a detailed video on this charge related form. You can simply check the link in the description box. Okay, so this was about the few form filing things. Again, AOC 4, MGT 7. AOC 4, any professional like CA, CS or CMA can certify this AOC 4, but MGT 7, in case the company is not having whole-time company secretary in employment, it has to be certified from the practicing company secretary only. Okay. The form filing fees are again same 200 to 600, depends on the share capital of the company. Now talking about this AOC 4 and MGT 7, in case you miss this 30 days and 60 days deadline, then you will be charged with extra penalty of 100 rupees per day, as well as the additional fees which are as per the MCA slab, that is twice, then it comes to 4 times as per the slab of the MCA. So this is very important, you don't miss this form filing because it is very crucial. Okay, now talking about the cost, which are, what are the charges in the market for incorporation of the company and annual compliances. So for the incorporation, the charges are varies, its ranges are 17,000 to 25,000. And for the annual compliances, which includes everything like preparation of board meeting, annual compliances, other event based compliances, the charges are 10,000 to 20,000. It again depend upon the type of the business, what is the turnover, what is the earning of the company, and the share capital of the company. So it varies on client to client basis. Now particular form, for example, if you wanted to file DRI 12, then the charges for that particular form varies from 2,000 to 4,000 rupees. It is per form basis. So these are the few things which I wanted to highlight here. If you still have any query related to this compliances related to private limited company, you can simply write in the comment section. Stay connected for more videos. Bye.